Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a seriously gripping 2026 World Cup tactical duel. You know, if you ever needed absolute proof that a 1-0 match can be a total roller coaster of emotions and strategy, well, this is it. We're looking at a massive battle in Guadalajara that pitted Colombia against DR Congo. It's a matchup that delivered relentless attacks, unbelievable goalkeeping, and down-to-the-wire drama. Break down exactly how this thriller unfolded step by step. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. And let's start with the number 5, because that's the magic number Colombia was chasing as they stepped onto the pitch at the Estadio Akron. See, they entered this match riding the momentum of a historic 4-game unbeaten World Cup streak. The goal? Make it 5. But standing right in their way was a highly dangerous African powerhouse in DR Congo. This is a team completely capable of shattering those historic ambitions. The stakes literally couldn't have been clearer. Section 1. The early onslaught. Setting a blistering pace. Right from the opening whistle, there was absolutely no feeling out period here. The intensity was dialed all the way up to 10. What we saw was a fascinating clash of styles. It was a battle between Colombia's technical superiority and DR Congo's rigid defensive discipline. Colombia's strategy was highly aggressive. They wanted to use their technical skill to stretch the field as wide as possible, basically forcing the African side to cover massive amounts of ground. But DR Congo? They weren't taking the bait easily. They countered with an incredibly structured and disciplined defensive setup, just flat out refusing to break formation. But that structure was almost totally compromised just 5 minutes into the game. Colombia executed this brilliant attacking move that found their right back, Daniel Muñoz, completely unmarked. I'm talking totally free inside the penalty box. It was a massive golden opportunity, but Muñoz misfired, sending the shot wide. It was a huge early warning sign for DR Congo, and honestly a massive scare that the Leopards were very, very fortunate to survive. Section 2. The Wall of Mpasi, meeting an immovable object. And this brilliantly illustrates just how dominant he was in that first half. Listen, if Colombia was the unstoppable force, DR Congo's goalkeeper Lionel Mpasi was the immovable object. Colombia completely dominated possession, right? Sending wave after wave of attacks orchestrated by James Rodríguez and Díaz. In the 18th minute, Jhon floated a highly dangerous ball, but Mpasi just shut it down. Then, just moments later, John unleashed a powerful strike that looked absolutely destined for the back of the net. Mpasi's reaction? A spectacular flying save. He was literally building an impenetrable wall right before our eyes. Which brings us to this incredibly frustrating number for Colombia, 0. Despite maintaining absolute control of the pitch, dictating the tempo, and registering 5 solid shots on target, they walked into the tunnel at halftime completely deadlocked, at a 0-0 tie. You could actually feel the sheer frustration of facing that exceptional African defensive discipline. It was palpable. Section 3. Tactics and frustration. The suffocating pressure continues. Moving into the second half, Colombia came out absolutely refusing to take their foot off the gas, but DR Congo? They matched them step for step. Just 5 minutes after the restart, we saw Mpasi's dominance continue. James Rodríguez whipped this beautiful, driven, low cross right into the box, perfectly finding Díaz at the far post. Díaz struck the ball cleanly. Honestly, it's a sure goal in almost any other match, but Mpasi produced yet another world-class reflex save to keep the game completely level. Unbelievable stuff. So, realizing they needed a completely different key to unlock this defense, Colombia's manager made a bold, heavy tactical shakeup right around the hour mark. Look at these substitutions. He pulled off veteran starters James Rodríguez and Luis Suarez. In their place, he injects veteran playmaker Fernando Quintero and forward Jhon Córdoba. The goal here was pretty clear. Sacrifice some of that familiarity for a desperate injection of speed and depth to finally break this deadlock. Section 4. Shattering the wall, the ultimate breakthrough. The relentless pressure was building to an absolute boiling point, and in the 76th minute, the dam finally broke. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly this orchestration was mapped out. Every single piece had to fall into place. Step 1, it all starts in the midfield with Jefferson Lerma physically holding off Simon Banza to slide the ball forward. Step 2, the substitute Fernando Quintero receives it and quickly lays it off. Step 3, the other sub, Jhon Córdoba, despite being heavily marked by defenders, threads a perfectly weighted through ball into the box. And step 4, Daniel Muñoz, the same Muñoz who missed back in the 5th minute, sneaks past the defensive line, charges in, and fires a powerful, low, right-footed shot. A slight deflection takes it completely out of Mpasi's reach. The stadium erupts into absolute pandemonium. Colombia finally has their 1-0 lead. But the tension for Los Cafeteros was far from over. Just 4 minutes later, in the 80th minute, Luis Díaz executed a phenomenal solo run. He's navigating through these insanely tight spaces, beating African defenders to finish beautifully. The crowd went absolutely wild again. But heartbreak followed immediately. The goal was ruled out, so that razor-thin 1-0 margin remained. Talk about an emotional roller coaster. Section 5. A dramatic final stand. Pure chaos in stoppage time. Now, DR Congo was not about to just roll over and accept defeat. Let's move to and see how this builds into absolute chaos in the final moments. We have the Muñoz goal at 76 minutes, right? Followed by the massive emotional swing of Díaz's disallowed goal at 80. Then, the tension skyrockets in the 93rd minute. DR Congo's Chancel Mbemba finds a rare sight of goal, only to send his header agonizingly off target. But they weren't done. On the absolute final play of the match, Nathaniel Mbuku unleashes a venomous, long-range rocket that deflects directly toward the top corner. And in that terrifying final second, Colombia's goalkeeper, Camilo Vargas, steps into the spotlight. Mirroring the earlier heroics of DR Congo's Mpasi, Vargas flies across his line, making a stunning, acrobatic save to tip the ball over the crossbar for a corner. The referee blows the final whistle literally immediately after. The match is over. What an ending. So, the crucial point is captured in 3 key takeaways here. Colombia survives the ultimate test of patience and defense to claim a hard-fought 1-0 victory. But this isn't just 3 points. This win officially secures their spot in the round of 32 with an entire game to spare. And hey, remember that magic number we talked about at the very beginning? Well, they did it. They extended their historic unbeaten World Cup run to 5 consecutive matches. Just incredible. We've seen them break down one of the most disciplined defensive walls in the tournament, all while showing they have a goalkeeper totally capable of game-saving acrobatics at the buzzer. It really leaves us with this final thought. With an impenetrable defense of their own and a deeply versatile attack that can adapt on the fly, who can actually stop Colombia's historic run in 2026? I mean, they are battle-tested, balanced, and looking incredibly dangerous. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed unraveling this tactical masterpiece as much as I did. See you next time.